Unit 7. Handling questions.
Part 1.
Anticipating questions. A question and answer session is very important to an effective presentation. Anticipating questions before the presentation will help you answer them well. What to do? Review your presentation. Anticipate possible questions. Anticipate with other people. Practice questions and answers with other people. What not to do? Not anticipating, running out of preparation time. Panicking. Not practicing. Exercises. Listen to the 4 presentations and discuss their answering techniques.
Number 1. I really didn't expect that question. It's something that I didn't think about yet. Number 2. Oh no, I was hoping nobody would ask that question. Let's see, how can I answer it? Number 3. Thank you. I was hoping somebody would ask that question. The answer that I prepared before this presentation is Number 4. Yes, I thought about that question before, but now, sorry, I forgot what I was prepared to say about it.
Part 2.
Understanding questions. Your audience may be asking you questions like, "Are you saying that? What did you mean when you said? Could you go over that again, please? It wasn't very clear to me. Could you say a little bit more about? Don't you think that?" What to do? First, it is important to acknowledge their questions positively before checking if you understood their questions correctly.
That's a good question. That's an interesting question. Thank you for asking that question. I'm glad someone asked that question. It allows me to say.
However, remember to use such expressions sparingly and only if you mean it. Next thing to do is make sure to understand the questions from the audience.
If I understand you correctly, you want to know. You're asking me about. Is that right? Sorry, I didn't follow the question. Sorry, I didn't catch the question. Could you repeat that for me, please? In other words, you're asking.
What not to do? Not paying attention. Answering too quickly. Not asking whether you understand questions. Answering questions wrongly. Exercises. Listen to the 4 presentations and discuss their answering techniques.
Number 1. Would you hesitate to take somebody there?
Let me make sure I understand your question. Are you asking if there are some people that I would not take to my favorite place?
Number 2. Tell us some things you don't like about living in a big house.
That's a good question. I think small houses are convenient and easier to clean.
Number 3. Why don't you like to travel to resorts on vacation?
That sounds like a good suggestion. Thank you.
Number 4. Why did you go to such a dangerous place on vacation?
I guess you're asking me why am I so interested in danger? Well, life is usually boring.
Answering questions requires careful techniques. 1. Refer back.
As I said earlier, in the first section. As I said earlier, at the end of the second section. Yes, I mentioned in the introduction.
2. While you try your best to answer the questions, always be prepared to accept criticism.
I accept that. That's a fair point. I agree with what you're saying. Up to a point. I agree.
Part 3.
Checking understanding. It is good to check if the audience understands your answers to their questions. What to do? Focus clearly on your answers. Practice with a friend. Watch the audience's reaction. Ask if the audience understands. What not to do? Panicking. Giving up. Answering wrongly. Not checking for understanding.
Useful expressions.
Does that answer your question? Is that okay?
Is that clear now?
Could you understand my explanation?
Can we move on?
I hope this explains the situation for you. It is important to note, however, that your tone of voice while asking the questions above says a lot about you as a speaker. Remember that you want your audience to fully understand and appreciate your presentation. So, always ask with a polite tone of voice. Finally, never ask questions like, "Didn't you listen? Weren't you listening when I said?" Exercises. Listen to the 4 presentations and discuss their answering techniques.
Number 1. So that's the best way to do it. Next question, please. Number 2. There are many ways to do it, but that is the easiest. Did I answer your question? Number 3. Please choose which way is best for you. I answered your question, so how about the next one? Number 4. So my answer wasn't clear? Well, I don't know how to answer well. Next question, please.
Part 4.
Staying in control.
Staying in control and having confidence are perhaps the most difficult, but most important aspects of making a presentation. Practicing with a friend and having positive thoughts will help you develop confidence. What to do? Rehearse your presentation. Be positive. Focus on your message. Have confidence. What not to do? Not practicing. Thinking you will fail. Focusing too much on your appearance. Saying negative statements. Here are some responses that you must absolutely avoid. 1. Wrong person or wrong topic. Don't say,
I'm afraid I can't really answer that.
"I'm afraid that's not really my area. I'm afraid that's not really my field. I don't have the figures with me."
I'm afraid that question goes beyond the subject of today's presentation. I'm afraid that's confidential. I'm afraid I'm not at liberty to give you that information. I'd be glad to discuss that with you personally after the presentation.
2. Tennis.
Well, let me ask you the same question. Okay. Let me ask you a question. I can answer that by asking you a question.
3. Hedging. It means limiting or qualifying something by conditions or exceptions.
Well, that depends on what you mean by. Well, it's a very complicated matter. Well, there are various ways of looking at it.
In summary, questions with yet unknown answers may still come up. Better say, "That's a very good question. I will look into getting more information on that matter that I can share with you, and I will get back to you." Don't forget to state a time frame to set expectations. Exercises. Listen to the 4 presentations and discuss their answering techniques.
Number 1.
In my opinion, let's see, let me check my notes. Okay, in my opinion, I would rather be rich than poor.
Number 2.
I'm very sorry, but I'm not so good at making a speech. But please listen to it even though my English isn't so good.
Number 3.
If it is okay with you, I would like to tell you my opinion about what I would do if I had only 24 hours to live. Please don't think I am strange if my ideas are different from yours.
Number 4.
This is my opinion. Please form your own opinion about the situation and tell me about it someday. I'm really interested to hear what you think.
Listen to this.
If I understand you correctly, you mean the feedback led to larger orders? Of course, it is difficult to prove a real cause and effect relationship between the feedback and the sales. Now you sound like you're hedging on the claims you made before. Let me make one thing clear. I am positive informal feedback led to a better relationship with clients. And I'll also mention that sales do not depend on the relationship alone. But a good relationship certainly doesn't hurt.
I have a question too. I didn't follow your organization of feedback files. Can you repeat that for me, please?
As always, thanks a lot for watching. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section. And before you go, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and click that tiny bell. And don't forget to check out some of our other videos on the channel. On to the next time.